Hello, it's Joe. Sunday morning, August 28th, around 8 a.m. And I'm going to give you the tour of the outside of the house. I'm standing across the street, and what we have is looking up and down the street on Gordon Hill Road. Shows you kind of the main drag of Thorndike Village. I got a church. I'm right next to the buildings of the fire department. And all that stuff, but I could probably cook breakfast in the middle of the street and not get interrupted here. There's a lot of old New England clapboard houses that line this part here as kind of the residential part. There's a few more commercial buildings down that end, but there's not a mom and pop store. This week is the first time I've not had anything like any kind of construction debris or anything piled up on the front yard. And it's getting closer and closer to looking the way it's supposed to be. This facade faces north, and this is the part you see from the street. You can look on the blog for pictures of what it used to look like, because there was a lot of paint missing due to the way the rain comes down off this roof onto the porch, and it gets shunted from to either the far left or the far right side. And over the course of time, lacking regular maintenance, the paint got flecked off in a major way. And I had big patches of paint that did not have, big patches of clapboard that did not have paint on them because of being washed away by the rain over the course of years. So at the very minimum, I at least covered those up with paint so that they won't get worse. The porch is another matter. Now, I just put this front step on here, and I actually replaced some of the porch boards directly in front of the door because they were rotten. I'm trying not to get sidetracked into spending 10 days fixing the porch the way it truly ought to be done. I'll save that for springtime. There are more rotten boards. I'm just going to paint over them so they don't deteriorate any more over the coming winter, and then also for cosmetic reasons. And you can see that I've checked the integrity of the post. This one here has rot in it about probably 4 inches down from the bottom. Ultimately will need to be repaired or replaced by splicing a 6-inch section on the end to make it new, and in the meantime it was just kind of floating there, so I at least shimmed it so it's doing its share of the work. Over here on this post itself seems to be intact, but the floorboard, the decking board that it's on, is rotten. This is a challenge because I can't just slip the decking board out, leave it flying in the air, hanging in the air, and then slip the new one in there. This one here has got to be structurally load bearing. So in order to actually do that, I'm going to have to put up a couple of posts to hold things up while I work on this one. And again, that's going to be deferred till next year. What I'm actually planning to do is to get 2 posts from the hardware store to actually put up next to these that will take up some of the weight to make sure that the thing does not get overloaded in any way. And I actually priced out lally columns. Lally column these days costs $220. I can get a 5x5 inch 8-foot hemlock post for $9 from a local sawmill, and that's what I'll use. And when I put them up, I'll actually paint them gray and white, even though I don't intend to use them for that long. Over here is some damage. This was the most severely rotted area, and just took it out. The porch is laid on the ground. There's no footing under this row of the porch here, and this is where the water splattered onto the deck and caused it to rot out. I am not going to really work more on that here. I'm going to make sure it's safe enough and kind of protected, but like I say, this will be a future project that I will defer because winter is coming. So anyway, now the next part of the outside. So I'm going to give you the tour of the outside, basically counterclockwise. There's a couple of places where we know the sill is going to be bad. This is the part here first on the western edge of the building. You can see where the water ran down, wipe the paint off, and then this here, the area below it here, the last 3 rows of clapboard on the bottom are in rotten shape. And it's like, if you don't want to see it, don't expose it. So what it is happening here is I didn't paint these. They are not dry enough. They never will be dry enough. This place never gets sunlight. In spring at some point, when I'm mentally prepared, we'll take the clapboards off. No question in my mind, the sheathing is underneath has rot in it. And furthermore, the sill there is rotten. You can see that little hole next to the service entrance here. Now this particular corner has one other thing, which is all this stuff on it. Yeah, I've got the electric meter. I've got the internet hookup from Unitel. But there's actually, if you look way up high, they still have an old roof-mounted TV antenna. And the controller for that is this thing here. And I'm going to try to remove all this. I have to figure out and make sure that I'm not removing the part that's supposed to stay. But I think I'll be doing that and then seeing what happens. Some of these cables are just redundant. It would be nice to clean it up. Next, if we go around the corner, now this front entrance, or this is, I got 2 front entrances. I got the main one and then I got this one here, which we never actually go out. And I don't know why that's here, to tell you the truth. Except that we sealed off that other front entrance. This one here is actually a working door, but it's locked from the inside. On this side of the house, what we see is other areas where the paint's gone by, and I've touched it up over here so it looks better, including painting the trim around the windows on the first floor. That goes a long, long way. I caulked, these are the old windows and I caulked them. And I've got more scraping and painting to do. I've got scrapers and I've also got a power wash machine courtesy of my son-in-law, who is the renovation guru. And that's what's happening there. Now, up there is the second floor windows, and those need to be securely fastened and also have the trim put on. So one of the things that's going to happen when I get the contractor to come is he's going to set up his staging and work his way around the building. I put these windows in by putting them in from the inside, and it was hard to reach in to tack them in securely. So this one on the right here actually wobbles quite a bit. It needs to be secured and a better job of sealing around the perimeter over the course of winter time, and that's the story. There's 3 windows here in this building that I did not mess with. One is this window to the bathroom. That's only 1 pane. I'm going to put some sort of interior paint on it to make it more energy efficient, and I have my shampoo and stuff hooked up there. But you know, you can see the paint needs it. I'm going to paint everything within reach, hopefully. Now, this part of the house here has an interesting thing. If you look up there, the way the thing slopes, a lot of the rain comes down directly below that, and that off-kilter metal patch is preventing the soffit from getting more rotted than it is, and the guy is going to replace that part of the trim board that's part of the soffits there, because that's rotted. If we go all the way down, there's like a torrent of water that lands in this place here, and it puddles. And you can see, and this is shocking, but you can see another area where the sill has rotted. This is probably 8 feet of sill rot and all that, and that's going to have to be attended to at some point. Then we go around the back of the house, and in the back of the house they had actually started putting vinyl siding on when the elderly person who lived here took a look at it and said, "Oh, I hate that color. I don't want it to stop. I don't want any more vinyl siding." So they stopped. Up there is the secret room window. That window also has only one pane on. I'll deal with that. They had more plants growing right here. They've still got some perennials. They cut them all back. Now I'm told that they had wonderful blackberries here. Cut those back, so we lost this season, but we're letting those grow again. I hope to actually scrape and clean and paint this part of the cellar entryway, and then we'll see from there what's happening here. Just as a side light, I cleaned up the driveway so there's no grass growing out of the cracks, and it's all lined up. It's very nice now. There is a stairway that leads to the cellar. This little building extension needs painting on it. We'll get there and do it. And then if we go all the way around, let's go all the way around this way. I'm not going to give you a tour of the garage or this other building, but if we go all the way around, this part here is cosmetically needing it, but I also had to buy more nails and some caulk, because here's a point where the boards are actually coming loose and the nails are popping out, and if I just slap some paint on, that's not enough repair to save it. I've got to actually reposition the boards and secure them before I continue painting. On this side, I already painted near the entryway, which is a big improvement, and this leads into the mudroom. Has an overhanging thing there where that needs paint, which I'll probably do at some point, and then if I don't do it, they'll do it. Then on this side, the two upper windows, as on the other side, will also get trim on them. But we see one of the two chimneys. Now, we got a couple things going here. The beginning of rust on this, plus the two chimneys. There is essentially no flashing on either chimney. So the guy that I've hired is going to come and make sure there's flashing so there's not a gap there through which rainwater can appear. And then said he would do some things to repair the or preventive maintenance on the metal roof. The metal roof is very intact right now, which is the way I like to have it. And then so we'll get that done. But then might as well come back all the way around. The well is here. The well is supposedly like in this section right in the center of the shot right now, but it's buried. There is no well casing appearing above ground, and the family member that sold me the house said that he does not recollect anyone ever opening up the well since about 1975. We're getting plenty of coal, we're getting plenty of water off the well, but it's mysterious what kind of setup we have. We don't know how deep it is. Seems to be unlimited water, tastes nice, all that stuff, but it's there. If you ever come visit, don't just stand there. If it's a hand-dug well of any kind, sometimes they just put boards over it and piled it with dirt, which means it could cave. Now that would be a drag. You see these lath that they nailed on here? That means somewhere along the way they got banking hay and put plastic up around the foundation as a heat conservation measure. And we're back to the front here. Now, the one thing I didn't mention is, if I get a better look up here, the double window on the upstairs is about as nice an architectural feature of this house as you're going to get, because it looks down on the street here. And now that it's a new window and it will be, you know, energy efficient and all that stuff, ultimately when that room is done, it'll be a great place to have a workstation or just a reading chair to look out the window while you do whatever. The flashing there needs to be done. That painting needs to be done. Once we get above the level of the porch there, that's too high for me to reach, and like I say, I'm not going on there. Now the last thing is the prayer flags. For some reason, this is the only house that has prayer flags on this whole street, possibly in the whole town. I've actually got more and I'm going to put them up, but one entry in the names is, you know, prayer flag house. This might very practical name is to call a prayer flag house, because everyone will know where we are. But that's kind of the tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll post something after the guy comes and we finish painting, so that you can get an idea of what it's going to look like getting through the winter.